Today I'm going to review the Freewell and Dunna Did It filters, which Freewell kindly sent me for free in exchange of making this video. That said, let's talk about the price. So the base price for this filter system is $300. This is what you're going to get in the box: ND4, ND8, ND16, and ND32, along with a quarter mist filter and also front and rear lens caps, filter caps. The front filter cap actually has some patches to help you with adjusting the exposure and also setting the white balance correctly. You have middle gray, white, and black. And also you will get an 82 magnetic base ring to attach to your lens, but also if you want a different size base ring, you can choose a different one if you want to, or you can buy them separately for $19 each. And finally, you will get a hard shell carrying case to carry all of these filters safely when traveling. Links to everything are going to be down below, and also Freewell gave me a 10% off discount code to share with you guys, so I'm gonna put it somewhere on the screen, or you can check it out down below. And also, if you want to buy separate base rings, each of those is going to be $19, and then you can also get the ND64 for about $50, I believe. And then if you want a CPL filter, that's additional $100. Again, everything is going to be down below with my 10% off discount code. Moving on, let's talk about the overall design and features, starting with the build quality. I think the build quality is fantastic. The filters themselves are made of metal. When it comes to size, these filters are extremely compact, as you can see. Let's see how much each filter is on the scale. Only 18 grams without the base ring. With the base ring, that's about 30 grams. And then if I'm going to stack the entire system in here, which is protected by these front and rear caps, all this is only 186 grams, which is extremely lightweight considering these are fixed filters basically and not a VND filter. When it comes to installation, this system is super easy to use. You take your base ring, screw it on your lens, and then the filter itself has some magnets in here to be able to align the filter on the base ring. And then a little cutout in here, as you can see, to basically be able to lock the filter on the base ring itself. So you take your filter and it will magnetically align itself with the base ring, but then you'll still be able to take it out easily. If you want to lock, you're just going to spin the filter like so. And now it's going to be completely locked, basically. So no matter how much I'm going to push, it's not going to come out. And if I want to replace the filter, I can spin it back, rotate the filter, take it out, take a different filter, attach it magnetically, and then spin it again, and it's not gonna go anywhere. This is by far the best system I've ever seen, honestly, for a filter, because not only you have the magnets to be able to align the filter easily, but also it keeps it secure on the lens itself. So even though if I'm going to pull the filter out with my hands, it is going to come out. But let's say if by accident you forgot to lock the filter, if you're going to move with the camera, it's not going to fall off by accident. And then you have the option, obviously, to lock the filter completely on the base ring, so it won't fall off by accident or anything like that. And at the same time, as you can see, the form factor of this is absolutely insane. Now, another cool thing about this filter system is that you can basically stack as many filters as you want. So for example, I have in here ND4. I can take the ND8, and now it will turn to basically ND32. Or I can take out the ND8, take the ND16, and this will turn this filter now into ND64. Or I can take out the ND64, take the glow mist, and now I have ND4 and glow mist at the same time. And it's super simple to remove. Put the other filter you want, and basically stack as many filters as you want. All right, now let's take a look at the optical performance of the Dunna filters. I did a couple of tests and also compared it to the Brandon Lee Freewell VND filter to see if the fixed filters perform better or not. I'm gonna start with shots that I shot at 16mm on my full frame camera with a 3:2 aspect ratio, and also I used the same white balance throughout all of the tests to keep it as fair as possible, and I did not manipulate any of the shots in post-production, again to keep it as fair as possible. And later on I am going to move on to 35mm shots from my full frame camera to see if it makes any difference. Also here in the middle, you'll be able to see the ND filter I was using, basically to keep it as organized as possible. So this is the bare length. This is ND4 from the Dunna filters, and as you can see, there is barely any difference. Maybe a bit more vignetting with the Dunna filter, and also it is slightly colder compared to the bare length. Now here is ND8. The color shift is a bit stronger. The vignetting performance is more or less the same. With ND16, the color shift is a bit stronger, and also the vignetting is a bit more distracting. Let me zoom in here. Look at this part of the frame. There's definitely something going on with this ND16 filter compared to the bare length, but honestly, it is not that drastic considering I shot this at 16mm with a 3:2 basically full frame aspect ratio. Now let's move on to ND32, and honestly, ND32 performs better than ND16, as you can see, when it comes to the overall color shift and also the vignetting. The vignetting is definitely heavier at ND16 than ND32. Let me just zoom in here. As you can see, it looks almost identical to bare length, but there is a slight like bluish color shift, but honestly, it is barely noticeable. Right now in here, I basically stacked ND4 and ND8 to achieve ND32 to see if stacking the filters reduces the quality. And as you can see, it definitely does, because this looks significantly more distracting than just using the ND32 by itself. Here I have them actually side by side. This is ND32 on its own, and then ND4 plus ND8. And as you can see, the ND32 looks significantly cleaner when it comes to color shifts and also the vignetting performance. So if you want the best result from these filters, only use, one filter as much as possible, basically. Here also, I stacked ND4 and ND16 to achieve ND64, and as you can see, it is significantly more distracting than just using the ND32, because honestly, I don't have the ND64 in my possession. But next, let's move on to the Brandon Lee 1 to 5 stops VND filter. This is at 1 stop, basically. This is the bare length, and as you can see, the color shift is more significant. It is warmer, considerably warmer than the bare length, and also I can spot this vignetting in here. There's definitely more vignetting with this compared to the ND4 from the Dunna filters, right? The Dunna filter is significantly cleaner, and it is also noticeably warmer than the bare length. Now here is ND32, basically 5 stops. The vignetting is pretty distracting, and also the color shift is somewhat annoying at the same time. Let me just zoom in. As you can see, it is definitely considerably more distracting than just the bare length. Now here I've also compared ND8 from the Dunna filter to ND8 basically from the Brandon Lee filter. As you can see, the Dunna filter is significantly cleaner when it comes to the overall color shift, but also the vignetting. This vignetting in here is significantly heavier than what you see in here. And then here is ND32 and ND32 from the Brandon Lee filter. And obviously the Dunna filter is considerably cleaner when it comes to the overall color shift and also vignetting, of course. And here I even tried stacking the ND4 and ND8 to achieve ND32, and it's still cleaner than the Brandon Lee filter at ND32. But honestly, this is how VND filters perform, most of them at least. If you want the best results, fixed ND filters obviously are going to be the best option, but they're not as convenient because you have to always change them in the field, whereas with a VND filter, you can just rotate the filter and basically quickly adjust the exposure. All right, now here is 35mm bare length Dunna ND4. This one is definitely colder, but there is no vignetting. The performance is fantastic. Here is ND8, again, barely noticeable. It is definitely, more cold, if you will. And maybe there's slight more vignetting in the corners compared to the bare length, but it is very minor. Here is ND16. This one does have a warmer greenish color shift, but it is not the end of the day, if you will. Now here is ND32, which looks considerably more blue compared to the ND16, as you can see. But again, I think it is, easy to fix in post-production. It's not too distracting. Now here is bare length compared to stacking ND4 and ND8, basically ND32. It's definitely, a bit dirtier than just using the ND32 on its own. There is a significantly heavier color shift, and also the vignetting is a bit more prominent, but it's not the end of the day again. Now here is ND32 versus ND4 and ND8 stacked, and with 35mm, as you can see, the difference is not that significant, right? I mean, the color shift in here is a bit stronger. The vignetting is a bit heavier, but it's not as big of a difference when shooting at basically 16 millimeters. Here is bare lens compared to Brandon Lee at 1 stop. Very clean performance from the Brandon Lee VND filter. Here is Brandon Lee at 3 stops. Again, fantastic performance. Barely any vignetting, barely any color shifts. And now here is 5 stops and the 32 from the Brandon Lee filter. Again, fantastic performance, barely any noticeable color shifts. And now here is ND8 from Dunna compared to Brandon Lee at ND8. And honestly, in this case, I actually prefer how the Brandon Lee filter looks like. This one looks a bit more green compared to this, and I feel like the ND8 option from Brandon Lee looks a bit closer to the bare lens, if you will. And here you can also see Dunna ND32 compared to Brandon Lee ND32. And as you can see, this time, because I shot this at 35 millimeters, the difference is not that noticeable. Yes, maybe the Dunna filter is a bit cleaner overall, but the Brandon Lee VND filter is definitely clean at the same time. This one is a bit colder, this one is a bit warmer, so it's going to be pretty much the same process to fix either of these filters in post-production. All right, so as you can see, the performance of the Dunna filters is definitely slightly better than the VND filter, especially when using a wider focal length. So if you want the best image quality possible, definitely go for a fixed ND filter system, but it is going to be more inconvenient compared to using like a VND system, because in here you can just rotate the filter and basically adjust the exposure. But honestly, these Dunna filters are super easy to set up, and also they are secure. You can lock them on the lens, and at the same time they are very compact. I mean, going from this to this is not that big of a difference. Yes, you will have to, replace filters in the field if you want to correctly adjust the exposure. Compared to this, you just rotate the filter. But honestly, considering the better image quality, maybe this will be a better choice for you. So thank you for watching. Let me know down below what you think, and don't forget to use the code ROMA10 at checkout on freewell.com if you want to get 10% off on your Freewell filters. Anyhow, thank you and bye-bye.